We are here on an October beautiful fall day. My name is Brian French from the Hydropower Historic Commission. We're at 67 Mechanic Street in front of the old Watson Newell factory, which we believe was originally constructed in the 1870s as a textile mill. May have been abandoned for a few years and converted in the 1890s to silver plating and silver spoons and such by Clarence Watson as the Watson Newell Company. With me I have Gary Demers from the Hydropower Historic Preservation Society and Jason Quinn from Wind Development, who's in the process of developing this factory building into residential living as we speak. We're about to go on an inside tour to see how that's done.
So it's going. Whenever you're ready, Gary.
So we're standing in front of some vertical turbines for the hydropower works of the Watson Newell mill. And these would be the original power system before electricity that powered the line shaft operation into the entire mill. So the water would come in through a sluiceway into the vertical turbine, which would drop in and turn the turbine in a fashion that would rotate this top gear section, which is something we just discovered. It's got a wooden spoked gear on top, and some of them are falling, the teeth are falling out, so we can see that they're wood. And that would transfer to this line shaft here that would also continue through the whole mill in a line shaft system with leather belts. So this would transfer across over to here, and it would pick up another system over here with big hubs that the belt would turn on, and it would transfer up to a hanging shaft with hubs on that would transfer from there across to other shafts. And that was the system throughout the mill that continued from right here to power all of the looms, spinners, all of their works for all the floors of the mill. They have a water pump over here that looks like it also was being powered off the line shaft at one point, probably after they introduced a fire sprinkler system in the early 1900s. They brought water into that through a pump system that gave them a sprinkler system. You probably can't see, but there are holes in the floor that the beltway would go up through, and it would transfer off the hub through the floor to pick up a next shaft and hub on the next floor that would transfer it out to all the wings in a similar fashion from floor to floor. Through the sluice, so the water comes in through the sluiceway tubes from the tail head race from the pond, comes through, drops down, and then it would go out through under the building into a tail race, which would feed back into the 10-mile river. This is a very good existing example of gear works.
So at wind companies, when we develop these old mills into housing, we like to incorporate artifacts from the building into the design of the new building. And in this case, we're going to disassemble the gear portion and piece by piece reassemble it and incorporate it into an entry feature to the building or to the property. We're going to paint it, we're going to scrape it, paint it, and bring it back to its original look, its original features, to the best we can. And not only that, we will be incorporating artwork into the building as well too, but we're specifically going to focus on the gears and the original pieces still in place going forward.
So we're back again with another fact is, as technology developed and they came into DC power, they used this system to convert what they were pushing is a line shaft into a now DC generator that would be bringing power in a very limited fashion in those days, but enough to bring power up and start in the conversion of line shaft horsepower, hydropower, into line shaft generation that brought in DC power. So they merely put a generator on the end of the shaft, still using the turbines to generate the motion to turn the generator, and then converting from there into DC power.
Right now we are standing over the turbines that we just looked at down below, standing in the original part of the mill we believe to be built sometime in the 1870s. To my right here, an addition built in either 1916 or 1911, give or take. A brick style addition with the safes down there where they kept all their valuables. Over to my left, again, it's 1916 or 1911 addition, wood framed building. What you see in the ceilings, the columns and the beams are all original. We just got done sandblasting everything. There was probably about 4 to 5 coats of paint in this building, and it took us about two and a half months to sandblast this entire building. These finishes that you see will be exposed and remain when we do the apartment style living in this building. We like to keep the features like that, adds a sense of nostalgia to the building, and also adds to, makes it a unique look for someone living in these apartments. You can't see it behind you, but we have part 3 of the building. It was built in sometime in the 1930s, and the part way down there past where the brick wall is the addition, the second addition to the building. So as you can see, there are many additions to this unique building. And but at the end, we aim to keep all of the brick exposed and all of the floors and ceilings, columns, and beams exposed with their natural finishes.
We are now on the second floor of the Watson Newell building, and we have discovered the vault, where we believe, when this was converted to a jewelry mill, this would have been where they stored the precious metals, primarily silver. Good-sized vault, would have been a tremendous amount of monetary value in this room, and highly secured. I think I see a little glitter on the end. You got the dustpan, Gary?
So I'm here in the basement level, first floor level of the what year edition? 1930s. So what this is a pit that was used for drop hammers for the jewelry industry. It was about 5 feet deep. It had a huge cast iron base with 2 protruding arms, and a hammer slides in and out of those arms to strike a piece of metal and leave an imprint that they go to another process to make jewelry. So there was a pit here with a number, I remember a number 5 drop hammer, and a number 4 drop hammer was in this pit here. It's been filled. So these are going to be here and covered over with the new build out, which the new floor is going to be at this level here when we're done, and we'll show you that in the future taping. But the elevation was due to the fact that these were extremely heavy. They were in the basement or the first floors of these mills, and they had to be put in the floor because they were so tall. In order for the operator to stand correctly in front of it, it had to be 3 or 4 feet below where the operator would normally be at operation. So when it's set in, it's about this high where they can put the pieces in and transfer them out. We have a couple of points up in the ceiling here that had a support column. We assume there was some really heavy machines up there, although I can't recall that. But very interesting how it just goes up to the top of the ceiling. They made a nice special rib around it, and there was a couple of them, and it'll be one of those curiosities that we won't know until somebody says, oh, I remember what was in there, and they'll bring it forward.
Right now we're standing in a what's going to be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment unit on the 3rd floor at the mechanic mill. As you can see, we're going to have the exposed ceilings, exposed beams, and the metal columns as well exposed in certain areas. To my left, you have the old historic windows are in the process of getting replaced. Energy Star efficient rated windows to match the original design intent of the old mill building back in the 1870s. These units will have exposed ductwork and sprinkler piping as well to add to the industrial type look for these units. These units will be mostly one bedrooms, some two bedrooms as we're standing in now, and everything will be exposed, as I mentioned before. The ceilings and the brick itself in the living areas will be exposed as well too, to try to keep that natural vibe of the original building.